About 350 or more Amazon employees are setting themselves up to be fired by Amazon over their environmental policies. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here and have to really like this video, please do me a favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell notification. We upload videos on a near daily basis. We do news, editorials, interviews, premieres, live streams, all that jazz. Uber, Amazon, Netflix, Disney Plus. By the way, if you haven't seen the Disney Plus skit, I'll put a link to it above. It was cute. Katie's proud of it. But anyway, yeah, you will want to be notified of all of that stuff. Now then, Amazon, awful company. I always have to make that abundantly clear, just in case this is your first time here. They're a horrible company. Oh, sure, they're nice if you're a customer, but trust me, they're horrible. And heck, their employees agree. In fact, so many of their employees agree that they are protesting the company over environmental policies. But is this really about environmental policies? We're going to actually read the whole article here, which I have kind of avoided doing in the past, but we're going to do this for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're going to do it because it's not very long. Secondly, we're going to do it because things are starting to pop up, which means that this little environmental stunt, for lack of a better word, it's an environmental stunt, let's put it, might be to draw attention more, let me back up. This is probably more to draw attention to Amazon as a company and some other things they're doing that involves them as employees rather than just the environment. Although I'm sure they are concerned about the environment to a certain extent too. In fact, here's the thing. The Paris Climate 10 years pledge early. I'm not going to get into the Paris Climate Agreement now. I don't think it was that big of a deal when we left it. Because the Paris Climate Agreement is one of those situations, and I think this is appropriate to bring up now, where it's hey, a bunch of countries got together and they wanted to say what they were going to do to help, to help with the environment, to help, improve the environment. Now that's a great idea in concept, but the problem is in practice, a lot of the countries who joined the Paris climate change actually provided plans that they would already have done whether there was a climate agreement or not. They'd say, oh, we're going to do this, and that's our contribution. Well, they're already doing that. That's not even sacrificing. That's not cutting down on anything. That's just what they're saying as part of the agreement. So I like the Paris Climate Pledge in theory. In practice, I don't know if it works that well. That said, Amazon, someone who actually joined it, and they said, hey, we want to do this, this, and this is what we're going to do to pledge to actually improve the environment. And the employees are basically calling bullshit on that because what Amazon says is stuff that they might have already been doing anyway because Amazon is not incentivized to heal the planet, not by a long shot. So let's look at this. More than 350 Amazon employees have published their names alongside criticism of the retail giant's record on climate change, despite an Amazon policy change barring workers from speaking publicly about the firm. The 357 employees were organized by the employee activism group Amazon Workers for Climate Justice. By the way, if any of you want to join me on this channel and be interviewed and discuss what it is you're doing, we'll be more than glad to have you on here. And publish their names and various criticisms in a Medium blog post. The pro-environmental drive among Amazon workers has been gaining steam since April 2019, when Amazon Workers for Climate Justice published an open letter to CEO Jeff Bezos calling for a more effective climate change policy. The two common criticisms by the employees are, one, Amazon's relationship with the oil and gas industry, of which they have a relationship. Trust me on this. You don't run the robotics you do with Amazon, have the delivery trucks you have, ship the packages you do, fly the planes that you fly without having relationships with the oil and gas industry. And its commitment to reach net zero emissions by 2040. Well, here's the interesting thing about that, because if you were to believe certain politicians who use three initials as their name, we'll just say that, hey, we've got 10 years. This is 20. 20 years. We're all going to be baked and fried and dead, and everything's going to look like the Planet of the Apes minus the apes. The Twinkies might survive, but all life will end, and that's what the planet's going to look like in 10 years. So 2040 almost seems like a slap in the face if you stop and think about it. So one of their employees said, I am thankful Amazon is committed to net zero emissions by 2040, but we simply do not have the time. For a company like Amazon, we need to be net zero by 2030 at the latest. Yeah, because if you believe that the world is going to come to an end in 10 years because of climate change, then yeah, maybe having a 2030 at the latest, and really you might want to bump that up to 2026 to give yourselves a few years of breathing room just in case some of your, experiments and efforts to cut back don't pan out. I can see why that's a problem. Another appeared to criticize CEO Jeff Bezos pouring money into his space exploration company Blue Origin. Yeah, by the way, rockets, a lot of burnt fuel, a lot of burnt oil. Amazon, the Earth is our only home, spend more money on fighting climate change than on space exploration. I'm not going to get into the whole space is our future, our hope whole thing. I'm just not. It's an interesting idea. It's a neat idea. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know. But the thing is, yeah, one of the things that kind of bothers me about Blue Origin and SpaceX, I mean, intentions are good. I acknowledge that they are. And for the record, I have stock in Virgin holding companies. So I am clearly inspired by some of the things that are happening. That said, you're spending a lot of money leaving one planet behind to inhabit another one. You know what? Maybe some of that money could be spent preserving this one. And once this planet is in a better position, a better place, so to speak, then you can fly and go to another planet and, throw your empty Coca-Cola plastic bottles on that planet instead. Amazon's response to that is already leading the way in combating climate change. Quote, we founded the Climate Pledge, committing to net zero carbon by 2040, which is 10 years ahead of the Paris Agreement. We plan to be using 100% renewable energy by 2030, and we have thousands of people working on substantially initiatives across the country, a company spokesman told Business Insider. Now, why is this still a thing? Because, hey, that sounds reasonable from if, you're just listening from the outside in. Hey, the Paris Agreement says by 2050, we need to be like net zero carbonation. We're going to be done by 2040. That's 10 years in advance. That sounds pretty reasonable. So why would 357 employees pretty much risk losing their jobs over this? Do they just care that much about the planet? Well, they probably care a little about the planet. I'm not saying they don't. But when you read the story continuing, and you will find this with many articles written about Amazon and about this particular situation, by talking about this, some light is shed on some of Amazon's policies when it comes to employees, and I think that's what they really want to drag attention to. So anyway, early in January, members of Amazon Workers for Climate Justice said they were threatened with dismissal for speaking out about the company's climate change policies following a policy change in December 2019, which forbade workers from speaking publicly about the company policy without seeking approval from management. So this story is already bringing attention to a policy change that workers did not agree with. Basically, workers don't like it when their companies say you can't speak bad about the company. Well, screw you. I mean, I work for you, you give me a paycheck. It's probably unwise to criticize you, but I should be allowed to do so without fear of retaliation. Some workers addressed the policy change head-on in the Medium Post. The only reason these workers have been singled out for violating communication policies is for speaking truth to power. It is vital for us Amazon employees to not be intimidated by this action and to continue pushing and speaking out against the problems in society that our company exacerbates. So here's the thing. You'll notice right here, they're talking about the problems in society that the company exacerbates. That's actually a pretty wide net. That goes beyond environmental concerns. That includes worker rights and all that jazz. So, here's the thing. They continue contributing to climate change, supporting ICE, and brutal labor conditions in the warehouses are great for the bottom line, but awful for society, and we cannot remain silent on these issues. Now, do these issues supporting ICE and brutal labor conditions, do they really affect the environment? No, probably not, to be honest. But hey, if you start tying it in there, what are you doing? You're bringing attention to what is really bothering you. Because here's the thing. I talk about Amazon a lot on this channel. I'm talking about them more these days now that I'm kind of letting Uber go out to die, because it is dying. And Amazon is not, for some reason, even though they frankly lost money for way longer than Uber did. But how many times I talk about bad labor conditions, the peeing in the bottles, the woman who had a miscarriage and was put on probation because Amazon was concerned about how her grieving for her dead child will affect her work performance. I talk about all of these inhuman things. And what response do I get? I get free shipping. And hey, it's convenient. You get so many things like out of sight, out of mind. I have to say, talking about Amazon is really made me understand why vegans get so pissy with people who eat meat when they're trying to explain why they're vegan, because they see a cruel injustice being done to the planet Earth and to animals, and meat eaters' only response is, yeah, well, I like meat, which I do, obviously. You know, it's so dismissive, and it seems to miss the bigger picture. By the way, for all you vegans out there, I actually did go on a limb and try the Carl's Jr. Beyond Meat burger, the barbecue burger. So if you want to check out, go to my Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel, you can find out what I thought about that. So what are the Amazon employees going to do, though? Obviously, people do not care about their working conditions. Heck, I don't know if you've seen a movie called American Dream. It's an Academy Award-winning documentary about workers who go on strike for a company that they work with because they got their rates cut during a time of great profit. And most of the pushback they got was, you should be happy to have a job, you should be thankful, you're being ungrateful for the situation, like, you know, which misses the overall point. You know, no one should have to have a 30% pay reduction, especially during good times of prosperity. So, but here's the thing. You care about the environment, like, you can get people to do things. I mean, people don't care about killer whales that much. They don't care about the fact that they might be an endangered species, but you make Free Willy, and Michael Jackson writes a song for it, and it becomes a success, and people spend millions of dollars freeing Keiko, the whale who played Free Willy, when that money would have probably been better spent saving the killer whale population in general, rather than trying to rehabilitate this one whale that eventually died because it was unable to be rehabilitated to the wild. But anyway, so you see, I know that's kind of, I went on a little bit of tangent a couple there, but now here's what Amazon employees are doing. Hey, we're going to talk about the environment. And you know what? I've seen more articles about Amazon employees who might get fired because they're speaking out against bad climate change policies that Amazon has, and Amazon's threatening to silence them. So now the attention is on the employees. And what happens? They say, hey, you know what's contributing to the climate change? Contributing to the environmental policy problem? Climate change, supporting ICE, and brutal labor conditions in warehouse. They're great for the bottom line, but they're awful for society, and it's true, and now you're getting that message out there. So here's the thing. Amazon, by the way, has confirmed to Business Insider that the policy remains in force. Quote, while all employees are welcome to engage constructively with any of the many teams inside Amazon that work on sustainability and other topics, we do enforce our external communications policy and will not allow employees to publicly disparage or misrepresent the company or the hard work of their colleagues who are developing solutions to these hard problems. They're not colleagues. They're not colleagues. The people who are developing the solutions make way more money than the warehouse people and work a lot less, I want to add. So here's the thing. It mentions in the final, we're almost done with this. Not all the criticism voiced in the blog post were exclusively aimed at climate change, because I don't think it's completely about climate change. I'm not even sure if it's really about climate change. One employee took aim at Amazon's home security camera business Ring, which has been criticized for essentially establishing a large and intrusive surveillance network. Quote, the deployment of connected home security cameras that allow footage to be queried essentially are simply not compatible with a free society. They're not. The privacy issues are not fixable with regulation, and there is no balance that can be struck. Ring should be shut down immediately and not brought back. I can't argue with that. You can't fix it at this point. It's an intrusive little thing, and unless you completely cut the servers, you cut the live stream, like the whatever that the cord is that feeds it, like the umbilical cord. I don't know. Yeah, unless you cut it, it's like not good for anything. Another criticized the company's safety record for its deliveries, and this is especially important because they just announced same-day deliveries. Amazon's last-mile delivery network should be designed to deliver packages safely first and in a timely manner second, because how many employees get hurt on the job? Today's system incentivizes unsafe driving and appears to be designed to insulate Amazon from liability rather than to promote ownership and accountability. So, yeah, that's the whole article. Of course, I'll link it below just in case you want to read it, but, that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah, I, again, would love to talk to anyone who is part of this, group that's protesting Amazon, because I want to give I'll help get their voice out. Whatever I can do, I will help get their word out. I agree. Amazon's environmental policies are garbage, for the record. I mean, as much as I'm saying that I don't believe this is really about climate change, let's face it, Amazon sucks at that too. Have you ever really stopped and thought about what happens to all your Amazon boxes? The ones that you have, you get 3 or 4 a day, and what happens to them? You might want to look that up and prepare to be appalled about where your Amazon boxes and the styrofoam that comes in the packaging go and what damage you're doing to the environment. It will definitely make going to the store and picking it up without wasting those elements very appealing. Or maybe it won't because you just want the convenience. What the heck do I know? All I know is they are smart. These employees are smart. And Amazon, by the way, cannot fire them. If they fire these employees, it's just going to create headlines. Amazon fires employees that are concerned about the environment. That's not a headline Amazon wants. But at the same time, they can't let this continue because it's a Trojan horse. It's a Trojan horse for the employees to get the world to finally listen and say, these working conditions are terrible. Will someone listen to us? Thankfully, I've got good news. Someone will, and we will talk about that tomorrow. So if you want a part 2 to this story, come back tomorrow. In the meantime, what do you think about all of this? I would love to know. Comment below, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. I'll see you with the second part tomorrow.